Meeting for Wednesday, July 15th here in the boardroom. Can we have a roll call, please, Tammy?
Paul Crew.
Here.
John Smith.
Here.
Donna Vorpagel Gunther.
Here.
Brett Waller.
Here.
Nubs Ashbeck.
Here.
Amber DeRizzo.
Here.
Jacqueline Gremler. Mike Cornisher.
Here.
Kevin Blake.
Here. Please join me as you're able to stand and face the flag for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Merrill Area Public Schools Board of Education meeting. MAPS respects the role that our elected board members serve and the function of our board meetings. Board members and administrators are committed to working collaboratively to provide our students with the highest levels of achievement. This meeting is a formal event, and professional conduct is the expectation for all in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. This time the board opens the floor for public comment. I did not have any sheets turned in, so seeing none. We do also have time right after public comment for recognition, taking the month of July off with the school year not in session. We will move to administrative reports. Just a reminder, board members that had questions could have asked prior to tonight, or they can ask on the record this evening for clarifications. Anything in the report, I'll let Shannon take it over and do some introductions of the reports and people presenting them tonight.
Thank you. Item A is our Student Resource Officer report that was presented by Corey Bennett. Nicole is here with us this evening. She's our SRO at the high school, and so I asked her to kind of share with her how her first year went and how it's gone with 2 SROs, and just kind of give us a recap of the year at the high school.
My first year as SRO was excellent, honestly. I cannot say enough about the Merrill Public Schools and just being proud to be a part of it. I worked really well with admin in the schools at both Washington and the high school, which were my primary schools that I kind of went to. I think I had a good impact on students. I had a lot of kids, coming to me. I feel like with the 2 SROs, we were more able to do some of the fun stuff and the being there for kids other than just for disciplinary or, situations where they would be in trouble. We were a resource for them to come to and talk to when they were having a difficult day or having troubles at home or having, things that they needed to ask questions about that involved legal things. So I feel like that was a good part of the job that maybe wasn't able to be done as much when it was just a single SRO. I know it felt good to be in the buildings. Admin said, it's been more calm as far as having somebody in the building all the time. Like it just seemed more stable throughout the day. So I think that was a good thing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I can't wait to get back to school. So it was a good, probably the best year of my 21-year career so far. So
I was looking at this year's numbers versus last year's number at the high school, and the referrals or the contacts were up by about 60. But it looks like we had quite an increase in the traffic-related ones, so we
Sure.
must have been much more present in the
Parking
parking
lot.
lot than we were in the
Yeah.
past.
yeah.
And we also had a pretty big jump in dealing with lost missing items.
Yeah. Yeah, we had quite a few lost. There was mostly thefts of phones or earbuds, stuff like that.
Yeah. So stuff that maybe we weren't able to get to in the past, now we can.
Yes.
Any questions? Next up in this is a new thing we started last year. We have to go through the incidents that are listed on that report, and we have to see which follow through the charges, and we can report that. It's a little more cumbersome because why I always have access to that information.
Sure.
So we'll start that process here next week.
Okay, it's just a procedural question. Do you have the opportunity to meet with the other SRO and admin, like, on a regular basis to kind of discuss philosophical, organizational things that you see happening? Is there a platform for that exchange of information?
I certainly meet with the admin at both of the buildings I am with. and I see the other officer pretty much every morning when we're coming in and getting our squad cars and stuff ready. And we do have conversations, but as far as an official thing, I don't think there's been like a sit down where everybody got together and talked about it. But I know both of us have in our buildings with our admin that we mostly deal with.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yep.
Thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Angie Drew, as soon as I can pull up her presentation and for an update on community ed.
Hello, everybody.
So Angie we shared information probably in, April, I'm guessing. So this is kind of an update, but we want to do an annual summer update on progress that we've made in community ed. So I asked Angie to come on in and meet with us. Take the lead, Angie.
All right. Obviously, you can go to the next. So we just finished up our spring catalog, which was our third one. We've taken a lot of things that we've learned and kind of culled classes that weren't super successful. In fall, our second catalog, we thought less or more was better, and we've quickly figured out that we did not have an appetite for all of those classes across our community quite yet. The awareness isn't there yet, but we took those learnings into spring and we offered 52 classes. So we went from about mid-80s down to 52, and we only had 10 classes that didn't run. 11 of those classes sold out, and 60% of our offerings were 3/4 full. So a lot better showing, a lot more awareness. We could see what we were doing right. We had 450 new member registrations, and what that means are people were going to the site not necessarily to register for classes, but to put in create an account. So just if something came up, they would be ready to go. We had 196 actual community education participants. So some of those 450 might have been left over from the aquatics program. We allowed them to use the site to run their program through ours. The demographics this isn't a big surprise, we're heavily female at 78%. The guys came in at 22%, and we're hanging at the mid-50s for our average median age, which is roughly where it was last year at this time too. Class traffic, the popular things were woodworking and welding, which were new classes, and probably helped us gain a couple percent in that male category. Sourdough and cookie decorating, those baking classes were really popular, and guitar, estate planning, and gardening were also ones that were pretty heavily attended. The less popular ones were painting classes. They've been popular in the past, this time not so much. We also had one of the shop teachers try small engine maintenance. We didn't quite have enough people to keep that one on running. And software, a lot of Excel classes, and we've tried that a few times and we're just not getting the traction there, so I don't think we're going to run those anytime soon. We send out a survey after every class, and some of the feedback that we've gotten, these are obviously the positive. We didn't have my biggest ding, if you will, is usually that people can't find the classes, and I'm not sure how to better that, because we have signs when you walk into door number 1. When I send you the email, everybody gets turn left here, walk 10 steps, turn right. So I'm not sure how to improve that, but we're working on that, hoping to get maybe some monitors or use the existing ones for directionals in the future. But one that I wanted to point out, and I'm not going to read these all to you, but the blanket knitting class, we had a bunch of people from Iowa come up for our class. They were visiting family and took that class, and it was kind of cool to see that. And what we've been doing now, go ahead and change slides. This is for spring. We're using, I'm going to skip to the advertising expansion. We've been kind of targeting communities around us. So we're finding like the Ask Merrill page. If we do the similar page in Rhinelander, we're getting people to come to our classes from using their pages, and that's kind of cool. In fall, going back up to the top, right now we're sitting at about 55 classes on the books, but I don't have everybody's paperwork in, so that might pull back, but I'm pretty confident we're gonna have around 50. I don't know if everybody here is familiar with the MAPS Minute. It's in the last week of every month. We run the back page and we run all the good news stories for the district, or not all of them, but a few of them we highlight. And we also advertise our program here with classes that are coming up or something like that. And this has garnered us, along with our social media targeting, not only people to come and fill chairs, but also attract new instructors. So I'm getting people reaching out to me instead of having to go and find them myself. So really awesome tools, giving us really great results. You can go to the next slide. What's new and what's next? It's not really new, but we are running the swimming registration through our tool, our payment tool, and it's been super successful. We're in the midst of it right now, and we've kind of gotten the bumps worked out, and it's been really great when somebody wants to change. If their child didn't quite make it to the next level, we can easily go in and change it, where before it was all literally on paper. So it saves everybody headaches and tons of time. And parents can actually do it themselves. So last year at this time, we set some goals, and some of those were to obviously grow the awareness of the program. We've used Facebook for most of our, grassroots awareness building, and since last year we've doubled our followers to just under 800 people, and the MAPS Minute has been a great tool for us too. I think we get a lot of eyeballs on us there, because I can see a little tick up every time this comes out, whether it's 2 or 3 people. They're still going the right way, and we haven't had that many drop-offs, so I'm not desensitizing anybody either. The male interest was one of our goals, and last year at this time we had a 15% following or rate of people enjoying their classes, and last spring we jumped to 22, so that was kind of cool to see, and I'm sure some of those welding classes and the woodworking classes are a result of that. Family participation. One of the welding classes that we had last catalog, we had yard art, and Mr. Mike Perizic just kind of threw a bunch of stuff out in the middle of the floor and said, make whatever you want, and people used their creativity to just pick through it and they built cows and flowers and a ton of stuff. And we had another whole family from Anago that came and enjoyed that class together, so it was really cool to see that. I think, sharing those pictures and showing that families are joining us has brought others, you know, we have girls having girls' night, doing earring classes. It's been really cool to be a part of that. One thing that we're doing next, obviously we want to keep growing, so new ideas are important, and in kind of reading up on other programs out there, taking trips down to the Grand for a show, taking trips to Minneapolis, something like that are things that I'm not comfortable doing yet, but they're in my mind. I shared with Shannon a themed movie night. We're working on logistics of copyright infringements and all of that stuff, so we want to make sure we're doing that the right way. So maybe in spring we can bring some of those. One idea was the Cloudy with the meatballs. I can't remember the whole title, but I'm doing like a spaghetti night and a craft night that is kind of all related for families to come and do that together. So stay tuned on that. And finally, we want to get our classes filled and sold out at a higher rate. I was really surprised at how well we did in the spring for it just being our third calendar, or catalog, but we had a lot, and we actually, a charcuterie class with the river epoxy, we had to add a class because so many people were on the waiting list for that. We could fill an entire class to make that happen. So good things, we're growing, hoping for more of the same in the fall, and hopefully can see some of you guys take some of the classes too and be part of it and see what we're doing.
Teaching.
Yeah. Anybody who, you know, wants to teach a class, obviously, give me a call.
A couple things, I think Angie's done a really good, excellent job with this whole community program. It's growing and we're really heading in the right direction, so thank you for that. The MAPS Minute is interesting because we do a monthly superintendent's corner and we sit with Florida Blues, and if they had space, they'd run it. And so we were not consistent in getting our message out. So now we can kind of control the message through that back page, through the efforts that Angie's doing with the MAPS Minute. So it's a superintendent's corner, it's good news feature, different things going on in the district, and I think it's a wonderful PR piece for us that includes community efforts and otherwise. The other thing is that Angie mentioned the whole swim lessons thing and bringing that into that portal. It saved us manpower, it was all manual before, it was cumbersome, a lot of errors. Now it's really tight, and it's going to go for our swim lessons and all those things. So.
And, you know, envelopes of cash floating around, you know, it's always something that's a little, you know, scary for the person that's in charge of that, and yeah.
So we don't have envelopes of cash flow.
No.
Good.
So that's it. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angie. Next is item C, Director of Pupil Services and Special Ed report. Amber Huska is here. She shared some of this information at CTP regarding some staffing things and kind of an update on safe and civil schools. Data, if anybody has any questions, Amber is here. Item D, Director of Curriculum Instruction. Amanda's report deals with the continuous improvement planning efforts in our district that's tied to our sale work coming in-house. So she's here. We'll share those continuous improvement plans at the start of the school year and then be finalized for each building. If there's any questions, Item E, Director of Finance, 26-27 budget update and June budget information. You can see a topic summary sheet there from Mark, as well as a budget update with the summary sheet. Mark is here, and he's getting really close to finalizing the budget. And is that the actual agenda item later on, Mark? Or is that?
No.
So
August.
August, okay. So as it sits today, not to jump your route, but we're about $8 grand in the hole, and we're expecting to do about $250.
We're still working it.
We're getting there. Item F is the Director of Human Resources report, which was included in the job description update that was shared at HR Finance. Heather's here if you have any questions for Heather. Item G, Director of Human Resources, PTO retirement benefit trend at the CPT, or this was shared at HR Finance as well. At that committee meeting, it was asked that we do some forecasting of liability, and we are in a position to do that, and we shared next month's regular board meeting. So we'll have the topics of the sheet at that time. Item H is Director of Buildings and Grounds Transportation update. Nick is here this evening. His update focuses on facilities, projects that have been taking place. Nick is here if you have any questions after reading that report. Item I is the Technology Department report. Andrew is here this evening. His report includes some updates on summer projects, firewall upgrades, building tickets for May and June, and that was shared at the CPP committee last week. And then item J is the superintendent report. Just a couple things of note to point out there. Interesting, it's been kind of an interesting little journey on the William C. and Genrick Scholarship. I think William graduated class of '56. And two things of interest. One is that the board approved the donation back in '21 when William was still alive. So the donation for the scholarship has been received. Well, we got a call from an attorney in Arizona that said that he's left us everything, including a storage shed full of stuff.
I'll be on that committee.
Yeah. And so, interesting story. He's a Merrill grad, went to Wisconsin Law School, became a lawyer, then went back, got his teaching license, and taught AP Economics at Sun Prairie his whole career. I think he was a bachelor's whole life. As part of his teaching, he would buy an individual share of McDonald's stock so he could get their annual report to use it as class, and it was you one of Exxon. And so we also have a pretty lengthy list of individual shares of stock we got to dispose of. But the total donation for total estates is over 1.5.
Wow.
And to start a scholarship. So that's been interesting. I'll just share this with the board because this is going on around the state. Freedom of Information Act says that we have open records requests that come in usually for like controversial things. The new trend in Wisconsin now is that companies will request all of our purchase orders from the last 5 years so that we can do their legwork to find out when contracts are coming up, when licenses are coming up, and all those kind of things. And so we've been kind of sorting through those. We probably have 7 of them going right now. Boardman and Clark, I go to the legal conference at the end of the month. Boardman and Clark is going to give some suggestions on how to narrow those because that's not the intent of this, but it is the letter of the law. In fact, I spoke to one lady who made a request, and I said, this is not really what this is for. And she said, I recognize that, but this is what we're doing. So I mean, we have to honor them in the meantime, but we've worked with narrowing the scope because all of our purchase orders from going back to 2022 was what, 6,000 records or something. And so, we're more to come on that. But I just wanted to
Can I speak to it for a second? Would it help the sales people who want this information to read a resolution by this board that if they make such requests, we won't do business with them for a period of 10 years?
Oh. It feels like that might be.
That's not a bad idea, Joe.
I don't think we can.
No, I mean,
I think some of the people that are making those requests though, I think some of them aren't the actual companies.
Yeah, it's a lot of
They're a
research.
marketing company that then sells that information to those companies.
I was just spitballing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not-
a good idea.
I'm not a lawyer, but I am a member of the board, so one action could be another
Just
action.
charge them appropriately.
Yeah, so
For your time and
they're
wealth.
requesting digital records, which means there's no copy charges. And our
You'll still
copy
charge for
charges
time.
are 1/10 of a penny. And we have to, there's actually pretty strict guidelines as far as what you can charge for time. So if it's like, in the course of your regular work to run that report, you can't charge. And so we'll get tighter on that, we'll figure it out. But this is impacting every school in Wisconsin, every school district.
Time to hire somebody and put them in that position and let them do the search. And then, would you be able to charge for their?
Yeah, I don't know if we,
wages?
I don't know. That seems a little.
These are all great ideas to ask board members about.
Yeah.
And for free. 'Cause I'll be in it. And then just by way of mentioning, Amber and I today attended AAC committee meeting, which is the Aware and Active Citizens meeting. And they just wanted an update on, you know, potentially what could happen in the middle school, could there be operations for everyone. So we kind of gave them an update on that. It was a big group, probably like 15 people-ish. So it was that's all I've got on mine.
All right, thank you, Shannon. Next on our agenda is committee reports. Attached were the draft minutes for the policy committee first, which met on June 24th. Chair is Paul Prue, and other members of the policy committee are available for board member questions. Any board members have questions for our policy committee this evening? Get some motions or some items from their work later. Thank you. Next is Finance Human Resources Committee. The draft minutes from the July 8th committee meeting is attached. John Smith as chair and other members of the Finance HR Committee are available for board member questions. Board members have any questions for the Finance Human Resources Committee this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to CTP, or Curriculum Technology Pupil Services Committee. They also met on July 8th. Brett Waller as chair and other members of the CTP committee are available for questions. Any board members have questions for our CTP committee this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on. We do not have anything currently classified as unfinished business, so we'll move on to Board of Education business. First item there is the District Student Academic Standards, Wisconsin Academic Standards topic summary sheet produced by Amanda Patterson. Just a reminder that this identifies the student academic standards adopted by the board under section 118.30, paren 1G, paren A1 of the state statutes, and will be in effect for the school year. There is a recommended motion from our CTP committee. Any motion, Paul?
Move to approve the adoption of Wisconsin academic standards for the 2026-2027 school year.
Motion by Paul, second by Brett. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or agenda item? Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the 2026-2027 WIAA membership renewal. The topic summary sheet was provided by our activities director, Christopher Hahn. Recommended motion from our CTP committee is there. Do we have a motion on this agenda item? Amber?
I move to approve the 2026-2027 WIAA membership renewal.
Motion by Amber. Do we have a second? Second by Mike. Do we have any discussion or questions in regards to the motion or the corresponding agenda item? Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the approval of updated activities code of conduct and activities handbook. Topic summary sheet was produced by activities director Christopher Hahn and a recommended motion from our CTP committee. Any board member willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Amber?
I'll move to approve the updated version of the activities code of conduct for the 2026-2027 school year.
Motion by Amber. Do we have a second? We have a second by Brett. Any questions or discussion in regards to this motion or agenda item? Any questions or discussion in regards to this motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next on our agenda this evening is Cartwheel, licensed therapy telehealth. The topic summary sheet provided by Amber Haluska And there's a recommended motion as reviewed by both the CTP and HR Finance Committees. Any board members willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the 3-year contract with Cartwheel with a cost of the district of $7,350 during the 2026-2027 school year, $22,050 during the 2027-2028 school year, and $29,400 during the 2028-2029 school year using DPI mental health allocated funds.
We have a motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by Amber. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion on this agenda item? Any discussion or questions on this motion or corresponding agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the revised support staff and teacher handbooks. Topic summary sheet was provided by our Director of Human Resources, Heather Soberg. There's a recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Mike?
Motion to approve the revised 2026-2027 support staff and teacher handbooks as presented.
We have a motion by Mike. Do we have a second? We have a second by Paul. Do we have any discussion or questions in regards to that motion or corresponding agenda item? Any discussion or questions in regards to that motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is discussion regarding board administrative retreat. Got a little bit of homework. Shannon, I guess I turn it over to you for some ideas. As we've discussed so far, there's some working on fine tuning dates, but this was more for information as far as what we could bring to the table. I mean, that evening is normally about an hour and a half. It's communications going through some potential topics that we have.
Yeah, so we've done this in the past, and it's kind of a nice chance to have a kind of informal discussion on topics that are of interest to the board. And so we're kind of asking the board for some things that they would like to learn more about or kind of to discuss more. So we kind of get everybody kind of caught up to speed on different things that maybe we don't have a chance to formally get into either in committees or at the board table or that goes. So I'd be interested in knowing what kind of things you'd like to learn more about or hear about.
Some of the things that we had talked about or heard about was ideas on middle school. Recently at a committee meeting, we talked about what is right on the technology side, if that is one-to-one or if that's certain grades or what that looks like. May not put a lot of time for a presentation from Andrew, but just some discussion even with the building admins as to what their thoughts are for the grade levels they represent. And Amanda or Amber's thoughts on how that correlates to the data that they're having to report to us as well. So those are some beginning topics, but I don't know what else. We've talked about other things, but refresh my memory if there's something specific we'd like to have on the list so we can build that evening around that. Any other specific thoughts? I mean, we have time for you to email or contact us, but if there's something that's you've really been thinking about, by all means add it. Speak up now or get back to us later.
I think one of the things as we develop the retreat, if we say go with the middle school facility topic or with the scaling back a technology topic. You know, scaling back technology was me spouting off at a CPT committee meeting about an idea, right? So I know how I feel, but I think the purpose of these retreats are to get a more comprehensive understanding about not just how the board feels, but how the admin feels, at the school level and at the central office level, or even feedback, you know, from staff and teachers that can then be brought to that meeting. You know, so sometimes we sit there and have another meeting presentation, but it's that exchange of, this is your chance to speak on the development of the process before we go headlong into it, so to speak. And so I guess that's just what I'd like to see is, you know, you throw an idea at someone, you're gonna get initial thoughts, but then a month later, you start crafting the pros and cons. So this would be a good point to let everyone express pros and cons that we really can't foresee from a board member's seat. And so we have the data now on the middle school. And it's my understanding that will cause action within a year or two, you know. So there's a lot of pros and cons that need to come out on the table before we could actually develop a really good plan. That's just kind of my thought of what the agenda. I mean, I would think even with those two items, it could be a lengthy discussion if everyone came to the table who's not already spoke. I shut up on that issue, you know, provided some people.
And those two topics could go.
Okay. Didn't know if anyone had anything else to share. That's good information and a good description of what, you know, that evening looks like, and a reminder anytime we are going through things as a board, working with admin, is if there is something that we want to come out of something, to either take that then to a corresponding committee and set action with Shannon's guidance on that. So if we're looking for next steps or more data, as we got new information that night, perfect. We can do that, and if that was enough information for now and we're waiting for the next report, that's fine also. It's nice to have the updates as to when those next steps are taking place and when to expect the next feedback from admin. So, thank you in advance for sharing some ideas and sharing that evening with us. Next on our agenda this evening is the board's expulsion philosophy. Board reviews its current expulsion philosophy in order to give direction to administrative staff. The topic summary sheet was put together by Superintendent Murray. We do go through this annually. Is there anything you wanted to highlight? I don't know that we have made a lot of changes. I think a few years back we put some more time into this and you had that templated, but is there anything that you wanted to either ask or go through?
Yeah, I just think it's kind of, we have had a history of reviewing this once a year, revisiting this once a year. Recently, we went kind of through the whole pre-expulsion spreadsheets and kind of gave an update on that and determining the outcomes of those. Attached is the 7-year history chart on expulsion. I think personally that our expulsion philosophy and certainly our practices are in a good place and are serving the purpose that certainly statutes are under. So we're just bringing this for review as by way of practice. My recommendation is make no changes.
Any board member questions or discussion?
Looking for a motion to support your policy.
If you would be willing to make a motion to keep the current expulsion philosophy as presented.
I'll move to accept the current expulsion philosophy as presented to the board.
We have a motion by Paul. Do we have a second? Second by Mike. Any additional questions or discussions in regards to that motion or this agenda item? Any questions or discussion on this motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the technical corrections being made to policy 8500, food services. Just a reminder, as our bylaw states, 0131.3, the superintendent is authorized to review and make technical corrections to policies that have already been adopted through our normal rulemaking procedures and then brought to our board evenings like this on a regular board meeting just to state what is being changed. So as you will see, there were just a couple technical corrections referenced there. Any questions on those technical corrections? All right, we will move on. Next is donation to the Merrill High School Music Department. Attached was the donation form and cover memo. Due to the fact that the donation is over $2,500, which is a limit set in policy 7230, the donation comes to the board separately for approval. We do have a motion recommended by administration. Anyone willing to make that motion? Mike?
Motion to approve the donation of piano class supplies from the Brocker Trust. Mike, is there? Broker? Valued at $5,256.60 for creating a space where the upcoming piano music theory course can take place effectively in the Merrill High School Music Department.
Motion by Mike. Do we have a second? Second by Paul. Any discussions or questions in regards to that motion or this agenda item? Questions or discussion on this motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you to the Broker Trust for the donation. Be well used in the High School Music Department. Next on our agenda is policy 7540.03, student technology and acceptable use and safety. What we have there is, I believe, some revisions were made right after the policy committee meeting. Something was caught on there and maybe an optional box wasn't checked or something was then reviewed, and it's being brought separately as a standalone item, just so it was highlighted properly in the procedural side. We do have a motion. The board member is willing to make a motion on that. Nubs?
I move to approve of policy 7540.03, student technology and acceptable use and safety as a second reading.
We have a motion by Nubs. Do we have a second? Second by Donna. Any discussion or questions in regards to this, or just a quick?
Yeah, just by way of
Yep.
explanation, so policy committee met on 6/24, and we had a number of board policies that dealt with acceptable use of technology, both personal and school, for different groups, board members, staff, et cetera. This policy, if you look at the green section on page 3 where it says appropriate discussion content using personal communication devices, that language was in each of those policies. And so we would check the box that said district email, check the box that said district approved social media platform like Facebook Messenger, and then check the box that said other. When it was all said and done, if I could, Donna pointed out that we missed B on this one policy, like we didn't check B. And so the meeting was over, and so here we are. The only change is checking box B that makes communication within our district approved social media platforms acceptable. All that for a checkbox. But good catch, Donna.
Right way to do things.
It's in the athletic handbook,
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
Any additional discussion or questions on this motion or agenda item? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Before I ask for the motion, or a motion for consent agenda, I will ask board members if anyone wants to pull anything from the consent agenda to be handled individually this evening. Seeing and hearing from nobody, I would ask if anyone is willing to make a motion for consent agenda tonight. Mike?
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through E, which include second readings, approval of bylaw 0144.5, board member behavior, communications and code of conduct, policies 1213, 3213, 4213, student supervision and welfare, policy 7530.02, staff and school officials' use of personal communication devices, policy 7544, use of social media, and policy 8462, child abuse and neglect, minutes of the June 17th, 2026 meeting, claims, vouchers, and receipts totaling $4,268,892.85, donations totaling $500, and the attached personnel report contingent upon release of contract for hirings and upon the satisfaction of the appropriate liquidated damages for resignations if relevant.
Got a motion by Mike, do we have a second? Second by Nubbs. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. No noted abstentions. Next on our agenda is items for future meetings. Reminder that the purpose of this agenda item is to identify any topics to visit or revisit at future meetings, such as committee meetings or regular board meetings, or identify topics or discussions relative or related to strategic planning. So, any board members have anything? Mike?
I'm curious how the new health insurance is going over with all the employees and everything with the changes.
We can give you a short update. It's gone very well, especially on the user side. I think people that have used it have been very, very happy with that. The transition's been very easy for our users. Now we just want to make sure that the claims don't exceed what we. Anything to add to that, Heather? Or we can give a formal
It
update.
really, I mean, we're only a couple weeks in, because it was a
Right.
normal renewal, so, just going through, like, making sure they get their cards, but I have access to digital cards if they misplace their envelope or whatever, so I can get them a copy and order them new copies. I feel very informed on all the things, and I have direct context to every single thing, so if somebody brings us a question, I'm able to give them an answer, whereas before you kind of had to permeate this virus dungeons and it was, not very good customer service, so I feel like we've been getting a lot of reception that way. Now it's just kind of educating the staff on, shopping a little bit for your pharmacy needs and trying to get them to use Innovia, so that's gonna be our next kind of push after this initial rollout. And getting to use their portal, because they do an annual coordination of benefits to make sure that we're only paying for, the bills that we're supposed to, depending if somebody has like full insurance. So, just making sure that they get that done as well. So, education.
Sounds good. Shannon, tied to that, maybe, where do you see and you can go through this at committee and a future meeting, but the frequency then of maybe updates, is that going to be a couple times a year, or
Yeah, what do you think, Mark and Heather? What's a reasonable quarter?
quarterly, just let us know
Could be
where
a
things starting and then
Yeah, measuring claim volume.
measuring volumes.
Yeah, I was gonna make a recommendation that the quarterly meeting be put on the finance human resource agenda just as a standing quarterly item, since it's now private pay.
Yeah.
We would need to know quarterly where we're at.
Sounds good. Any other additional items for future meetings? If any do come up, feel free to share. We'll go through that. We do have a placeholder, and I've talked about this, but we'll talk about it more as more data rolls in as the middle school long-term placement and what's all happening there. Just a reminder that the radio program is scheduled for Thursday mornings. Tomorrow morning is no different, approximately 8:15 a.m. on Blue Jay 730 radio. Tomorrow morning, Shannon and I will talk about tonight's board meeting. Reminder of future meetings. Curriculum Technology Pupil Services Committee next meets on Wednesday, August 12th, 4:30 p.m. here in the boardroom, followed by Finance Human Resources, no sooner than 5 p.m., starting on that Wednesday, August 12th, in the boardroom. Next regularly scheduled board meeting is Wednesday, August 19th, 5:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. Next, we have a contemplated motion to adjourn into executive closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes under section 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Purpose of the closed session is to review administrator and supervisor's evaluations and for the superintendent's regularly scheduled formative evaluation and goal setting. Anyone willing to make that motion this evening?
So moved.
Motion by Paul. We have a second by Mike. We have a roll call on that, please, Tammy.
Paul Crew,
Yes.
John Smith,
Aye.
Donna Borpagel-Gunther,
Aye.
Brett Waller,
Aye.
Nubs Ashbeck,
Aye.
Amber Durizzo,
Aye.
Mike Cornisher,
Aye.
Kevin Blake.
Aye. All right. We will take a couple minutes to secure the room to go into closed session. Thank you all for your attendance this evening.